We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. If you want to donate, support this channel through a donation, hit the $, make a comment, super chat, and we'll get to it as soon as possible. Welcome. Welcome into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid of becoming a legend with your comments in the chat room and with your phone calls later in the show. Welcome in, everybody. I have been not feeling good today. I have got the chills. Woo! I am not doing good. But I'm all dressed up warm in the studio here, even though I shouldn't have to be. But man, I got the chills. I've had them all day. I cannot get rid of them. So the wife and I usually take her to her church on Wednesday nights. We are staying home tonight. Gonna bundle up. It's not even that cold outside. So something's going on. I've got the chills. But we're going to do a peek around the corner. I'm going to do the best I can. I am going to do the best I can. We have got a stacked show. We've had some information the last 48 hours on this North Carolina piece. We've got some information on the Clemson piece. And it's like, I got to go. I didn't do a show yesterday because I wasn't feeling good. So we got to get it done. We have to get it done. But first I want to thank everybody for coming on in. And we'll just do the best we can. Kyle Visser is in the house. Mr. Buffalo is in the house. Richard L., early peak member. Hagen is in the house. Stephen McNeely is in the house. Early peak member. Chad Bracey, R. Webb. James Foster. Mr. Buckeye. Gerald Jones. We're going to be talking about Will Howard here in a second. Will Howard, is that going to be the new quarterback of the Buckeyes? I think everyone's thinking the same thing on this. Thanks for coming on in, Matthew Carlson. Go Blue. I had to sing Hell to the Victor at the end of the game when Michigan defeated Alabama. So check that out, Matthew Carlson. Chad Bracey once again. K-Doo's in the house. Ryan Brooks, hola, early peak member. Steve, Bearcat Steve is in the house. Jay Go Blue is in the house. Ryan Brooks, Bring Hockey South. Jim Reese, good afternoon all. Good time for an update in the Holy Smoke Theater. Daniel's in the house. Jonathan Weaver. Are we calling this national champ the Big Ten champ for the year between Washington and Michigan? I'm not. Thank you for coming on in, Jonathan Weaver. Appreciate it. Early peak member. I'm not calling this a Big Ten versus Big Ten matchup because it's not. It's Pac-12 versus Big Ten. It's Washington versus Michigan. That's the most important. But if you want to get in a conference talk, it's Pac-12 versus Big Ten. Washington has nothing to do with the Big Ten right now. They came out of the Pac-12 undefeated, defeated Oregon twice. If Washington wins it, I'm not calling it a Big Ten champion. I'm not. Maybe other people are, but I don't quite understand it. Sheep in Wolf's Clothing is here. Jared Jones agrees with Jonathan Weaver. Cameron B. Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Ron Lowney is in the house. What about the mysterious teen cheating scandal? I don't know. Haven't heard anything about it. I heard J.J. McCarthy make a comment, and I don't know. Got questions about that. Marcus Williams is in the house. Philip Ganzino. Canes all day. Proud fan of the Pinstripe Bowl. That's a good one. I wasn't ready for that one. There we go. Canes all day. Proud member. Pinstripe Bowl runner-up. Franklin Berger is in the house. Gold Nose. Cloak and Dagger. It wouldn't be slush hockey, right? Indoor arena, North Carolina, building a 2,500 seat arena. That ice is going to be just fine. It's going to be just fine. It's going to be used for ice for hockey. Pac-12, Cameron B. Dallas Marquez is in the house. Okay, thank you all for joining us. I appreciate it so very much. Let's get to a few stories before we get on the Holy Smokes Theater. Again, I do apologize. I'm a little bit under the weather. Don't have my usual spunk and energy. But if you get me going, I'll probably go on a rant. Let's take a look here. That bowl game, Sports Business Journal, 27.2 million viewers. Michigan, Alabama. This makes it the best college football playoff semi since 2015. And it's the equivalent to one of the ESPN's best Monday Night Football games ever. So it drew a big rating. And so with that, I'm gonna hop into something here. Gonna put up on my screen. This is from Front Office Sports today. Front Office Sports today. I will later on provide a link in the description. Did not do it prior to this show, but I will. I'll put it in there. Fox eyes massive bid for college football playoff rights. I'm hearing that Fox Sports is weighing a massive bid to snatch all or parts of the college football playoff away from ESPN. The strategy would make sense for Fox. The network's big noon kickoff pregame show has closed the TV ratings gap against ESPN's iconic College Game Day. And Fox gambit to place its top games in the noon Saturday window rather than its prime time has proven to be a brilliant programming stroke by the company's head of strategy and analytics, Mike Mulvihill. The tell here that they were going to go big on the college football playoffs was when Fox CEO Lachlan Murdoch warned Wall Street that it was highly unlikely that they would bid. Fox would bid against the NBA, would bid on the NBA against ESPN in Warner Brothers Discovery Sports. According to sources, Murdoch and company are building a war chest for other rights negotiations. At the same time, another source vowed that Fox would not overpay for the playoffs. The network is counting on ESPN's newly disciplined approach to rights negotiations. So there are sources saying different things, of course, to Front Office Sports. That happens to us as well here at Peek Around the Corner. Fox and other networks will take their shot as the college football playoff expands to 12 teams in 2024. In 2026, the rights to the entire package will go up for bid, including for the playoffs national championship. Coming up on the outside is NBC Sports, which added Big Ten conference rights to its existing Notre Dame package. Along with NBA rights, playoffs would be among the most eagerly sought out sports rights in 2024. There is a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions after reading that article. I highly doubt that any media company is going to get all the rights to the playoffs. We don't even know what the playoffs are going to look like in 2026. We don't know if it's going to be 12 teams or 16 teams. I have heard that the media partners, the potential media partners that were going to bid on the playoff games, that they were going to be, that they were going to have assurances that the championship game and semifinal games would be rotated. That if an Amazon wanted to bid for the playoff games, at some point they would get a semifinal game and a championship game. Same with CBS, same with, of course, ESPN and Fox. So I highly doubt that Fox is looking to grab, I don't think they're going to be able to grab all the content. I don't think they're going to settle it that way, the college football playoff managers. But maybe this just pertains in ESPN has the rights to the 24 and 25. I know there's a lot of negotiations for Fox to get in there for TBS, TNT, Warner Brothers, all that whole umbrella. They're trying to get in there. We'll see. I just wanted to put that out after seeing the ratings of the one playoff game, the Rose Bowl, Michigan and Alabama, that's going to help. That's going to help the bidding war for 2024. And of course, we often talk about the great gold rush coming in 2026. So I just wanted to start out with that. Now, Will Howard, Pete Thamel, sources, Kansas State transfer quarterback Will Howard will take an official visit to Ohio State in the upcoming days, a sign of mutual interest between the parties. He's visited both Miami and USC and is also considering the NFL draft. So, Will Howard, I don't know what day, I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow, Friday, this weekend, but it sounds like Will Howard, the highly successful Kansas State quarterback, led Kansas State to the Big 12 championship in 2022. He might become a Buckeye. What do the Buckeye fans in the chat think about Will Howard? I would be very excited if I was a Buckeye fan. I think it's quite obvious that if he would transfer to the Ohio State, he'd be QB1, week 1 of the 2024 season. The championship, the line right now is Michigan 4.5-point favorites. 4.5-point favorites, Michigan. I'm going to be giving my prediction moments before kickoff when we do a live show. We're going to be doing a watch party, so come join us. We had a great time, unbelievable time on January 1st. We did back-to-back games, back-to-back. I was on the air for 8 hours. People, the chat room was packed. People were having a great time putting down their comments in real time. Washington, Michigan, we're going to be doing the same thing. Greg the Heater, yes, you heard me correct. You heard me correct. Greg the Heater, because I'm 2-0 against the spread in 2024. I'm going to be giving you my play here right before kickoff time. Not going to be doing it now, right? I got to keep studying. I got to keep breaking down the tape. I got to be listening for the gossip, for the steam. Who's injured? Who's nicked up? Who's recording whose practices? Okay. Breaking news this afternoon. LSU has fired defensive assistants Matt House, Kerry Cooks, Robert Steeples, and Jimmy Lindsey. Brian Kelly put out a statement to inform those that they would not return to our coaching staff in 2024. In doing so, that's almost $9 million in assistant buyout money. Brian Kelly enters a pivotal year 3 in need of a new offensive coordinator and almost entirely new defensive staff. Bob Diaco and John Chanchik are the only defensive coaches who weren't fired today. I got a question. Bob Diaco? First of all, I didn't even know Bob Diaco was on LSU's staff. What unit does he coach? And he was one of the guys you kept, Brian Kelly? You kept Bob Diaco on your staff and you fired the other guys? Wow. Bob Diaco. Yes, about a decade ago, Bob Diaco had a good, I don't know, maybe 2 years, maybe a good year with Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But since then, he's been a disaster. Head coach of UConn. Man, when he became the defensive coordinator of Nebraska, that was brutal. That was absolutely brutal. I think the Gophers scored, I don't know, they scored 34 points, lickety split, and took the rest of the day off. Bob Diaco has been a disaster, and he's one of the guys that LSU did not fire. Interesting. Very interesting. And then Dorian Singer, I'm putting this guy out here for one reason only, selfishly. USC's wide receiver Dorian Singer has entered the transfer portal. Singer, who transferred to USC from Arizona, was the first team all Pac-12 selection at Arizona in 2022. Dorian Singer had a great 2022 for Arizona. Tremendous season. I think he caught 60-some passes, a whole bunch of yards. Dorian Singer, please come home. Please come home. From St. Paul, Minnesota. Dorian Singer. When I say come home, I don't mean go home to Arizona where you excelled. Come home to Minnesota. At one point, before Dorian Singer caught the eye of Arizona, Dorian Singer had committed to Western Michigan in the MAC. He had committed to a gentleman named Greg Harbaugh. Not Jim Harbaugh, not John Harbaugh, Greg Harbaugh. Well, Greg Harbaugh is the offensive coordinator of Minnesota. Dorian Singer, come on home. Come on home. The Minnesota Golden Gophers wide receiver room, we need you. We desperately need you. So come on home. Thank you so very much. We'll see what happens there. I doubt we get a shot. Other news, Julian Fleming. He's committed to Penn State. Hopefully, he'll get the opportunity. He'll get the opportunity at Happy Valley, but he's always seemed, well, he's not what we all thought he was going to be thus far in college football. Let's see what he does at Penn State. Alabama center Seth McLaughlin. He struggled in that game, Alabama-Michigan. He struggled with his snaps. In fact, if that was a decent snap to Jalen Milroe, the very last play of the game, the quarterback could have ran it in. But he got held up because he had to bend over, another bad snap. Seth McLaughlin is in the portal. He's in the portal. And the rumors out there, I don't know how to take it, but Lance Skidry, the defensive coordinator of Miami Hurricanes, sounds like there's rumors out there that he might be target number one for Brian Kelly of LSU. Okay, I'm going to get you comments real quick here, and then we're going to get to the Holy Smokes Theater. Thank you, Ryan Willie, for becoming yet again early peak member. Appreciate it so very much. You good sir, you evil badger, good sir, are cloak and dagger knighted. Thank you for becoming an early peak member. Now, a lot of people are asking, what do I get if I become an early peak member? We provide for early peak members, we provide an early peek to information that's dropped to us cloak and dagger style. One of the stories that we're going to be talking about today in the Holy Smokes Theater is something that we put out there on an early peak episode earlier this morning. So if you're interested in becoming an early peak member, just like Ryan Willie, we have one membership, $5.99 a month, one level membership. Hit the join button. Hit the join button if you are interested. Memberships numbers are climbing. People are liking it. Again, we did not take any content away from non-members. We just added content for 2024. Okay, let me get to a few more comments here, and then we're going to get to the Holy Smokes Theater. Derek Marie says Michigan 45, Washington 28. LFG enjoyed my bow down to Washington. My voice was gone. When I sang that song, Bow Down to Washington, the fight song, my voice was absolutely gone. I did the best I could. Wow. It was a low snap. Yeah, it was a bad snap. It hurt Milroe. I like the play call. Ron Lowney did not like the final play call. I liked it because that was their most successful play. Milroe running with the ball. We didn't do a show yesterday. We almost didn't do a show today because I'm under the weather. But we didn't do much of a post-game show when we did our doubleheader. We were on the air for 8 hours. Alabama was good enough to win the national championship. So is Georgia. So is Washington. So is Michigan. So is Florida State with that defense. Trey Benson, wide receivers making plays. My whole point to Alabama and Georgia, but we're focusing on Alabama, is this was not a even though they were good enough to win it, even though they were an eyelash away from getting to the national championship, this was not a special Alabama team. It wasn't. And it showed all year. It wasn't special. It was good. Very good. Of course, they got a lot of great players. But, they couldn't make the plays downfield. It wasn't the Alabama of the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And this Georgia team wasn't as good as the last couple of years. That's why I thought Florida State should have gotten a nod. Because neither of these SEC teams were special, in my opinion. Alabama had a goal. They had a goal to Milroe, running the ball. We talked about it pregame. That was going to be the play for Alabama. And then when Milroe started running, Alabama started rolling. If it wasn't for his legs, if it wasn't for his determination, great playmaking, Alabama doesn't even have a shot to win that game. So to give him the ball for the last play, did Michigan think it was coming? Of course they did. But what else are you going to run? Nothing else was really working for Alabama. So I agreed with the play call. The O-line, not just the center, but the rest of the O-line did not have a good game. A lot of pre-snap penalties. Michigan got a lot of sacks without blitzing. So that was also hurting the passing game of Alabama and the running game of Alabama. That's my thoughts on it. Good afternoon, Matt. Also, a good news. Minnesota Golden Gophers special teams coach who's been there for 7 years, Rob Wagner, is not returning as special teams coach. It happened. Gophers getting a new special teams coach. Iowa's getting a new offensive coordinator. Minnesota's getting a new special teams coach in the same off season. Holy smokes. Wow. It just came out. He's stepping down. The special teams has been an absolute disaster. Minnesota's got to hire a defensive coordinator. They got to hire a special teams coach. Let's see what happens. Okay. Let's get to checking out any other comments. We're going to get to the Holy Smokes Theater. Again, I'm going to get some people not upset with me. I'm going to get a lot of people doubting me today. There's going to be a lot of doubts. At the end of the show, people in the chat are going to be walking out. You all going to be walking out of the Holy Smokes Theater. And you're going to be shaking your head. You're going to be, I'm not seeing what Greg is seeing. This is not Greg. Greg is going to be taking a big L when something doesn't happen that he says is going to happen. Greg has got, he's off. Greg must have fell off the stage and cracked his head open. Because Greg seems a little off. So, look, let's take to North Carolina first. And then we'll get to Clemson. The North Carolina, we did it in an early peak episode 13 for early peak members. We're going to talk about it live on this live show. The last 48 hours, we've had 3 different conversations. We talked about with people that we need to talk to. North Carolina we talked about it, they're not aligned, right? The board leans to the SEC. The new interim chancellor, definite SEC. As of right now, today, January 3rd, seems like North Carolina does have the ability, the freedom to dislodge themselves away from North Carolina State. At least it's going to be easier for North Carolina than it is going to be for Virginia. At this point, we'll see if the October proposal passes, where it gets more complicated for North Carolina. But it hasn't happened yet. That proposal hasn't passed. We talked about the money perch, the boosters. Before it became public, we talked about how the boosters there's some of them that want to create a hockey program, a Division I hockey program. Yes, they have an HCHA program, club hockey program, pretty good level, pretty good program, but they want a Division I scholarship, men's and potentially women's program. They want to build it out. They want to do it. There's a couple of them that I determined. We're not going to say the names, but we've known this for quite a while. And then there was articles written about it. We talked about a masked man running into the Holy Smokes Theater, dropping off a pair of blue and white hockey skates, sitting next to Tony Petiti. That was before some articles came out about Carolina hockey, and they were going to build a 2,500 arena because we were getting information here at Peek Around the Corner. We know that North Carolina and Big Ten have talked with each other for a long time. We've known this. Jim Delaney, the former commissioner of Big Ten, 25 years, he's had a running. North Carolina and the Big Ten have had, or people representing the Big Ten or who would have interest for the Big Ten, have talked with each other all the time. No secret. But with this latest change at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, leadership change, the big war that's going on there for the future of North Carolina, for a lot of different subjects, one of them being realignment. The SEC, we believe, and I think other people have too, I think other reporters have hinted to it. I think they're going to keep hinting to it. But we believe there's an SEC lean now at North Carolina. If and when the ACC implodes, things can change. Nothing is determined. Nothing is determined. We're going to get more into that when we talk about Clemson here in a bit. But we talked about how, North Carolina, they made it known before it came out public. We made it known to you. But North Carolina made it known to people, yeah, you know what? We are determined to have a hockey program. Varsity level, Division I. NCAA Division I. Again, it doesn't, that's not a value add to where the Big Ten's going to go, oh, geez, now we want North Carolina. That's not what this is. They already want North Carolina. So does the SEC. And the ACC wants to keep North Carolina. That's obvious to everybody. We're just telling you information that is real, that's really out there. I want to go back years ago. I showed you guys these tweets before. 2015, I put out a tweet. It's very difficult to imagine, but according to source, Delaney is again going down the Notre Dame rabbit hole to try to bring Notre Dame's hockey to Big Ten. This was November 18th, 2015. This wasn't out there in public. Go ahead and Google it. It was not out there in public. And then suddenly, on March 23rd, 2016, Don Lucia, then the coach of the Gopher hockey program, great news for Big Ten hockey. Notre Dame makes the Big Ten a stronger conference. Notre Dame hockey became part of the Big Ten conference. Even though it's not a money driver, it doesn't drive the bus. It barely has a seat on the bus. Still, it's important to people, especially in Big Ten country, especially people in Minnesota. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Okay? That's probably why we have some of this information. It's a different world up here. It's a very strange hockey state up here. We provide we provide most of the college hockey players, most of the NHL players that come from this country is Minnesota. And the gap keeps growing every year between Minnesota versus Michigan and Massachusetts. I'm saying all this because there are people who would have loved, still would love, North Carolina. They want to build this hockey program. They are determined to do so. They love hockey. Hockey's growing in the state of North Carolina. NHL, it's growing. But they are determined North Carolina Tar Heels to have a Division I varsity hockey program. And so they've let everybody know that. And then the reports have come out in public. Well, in the last 48 hours, we have been given information. We put it on an early peak episode this morning for early peak members that, you know what? These boosters who were the lean Big Ten, they were leaning to the Big Ten while most of the others were leaning SEC. Now they're okay. They can envision the following: that North Carolina would be the hub, the starting point of a Southern Hockey Conference 7-8 years from now. It's a long ways away, but North Carolina is planning to become a Division I hockey program by the end of this decade. That's only 7 years away. They're going to build a 2,500 seat hockey arena. And there are other schools that are percolating, that are talking about it. It's a long road. It takes a lot of money. But there is interest, and their school names are out there. There's Arkansas, there's Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, North Carolina State, and potentially Wake Forest. Those are the names that we've been told. It doesn't mean they've got it approved. Doesn't mean internally that they've got it approved in those universities. But there are people talking with each other. It's a long road to get there. And the Southern Hockey Conference, it's going to be small arenas. Probably not going to be able to compete on a national stage, but that's not the point. The point is they want to create more opportunities for the student athletes, for their students, alumni, and their sponsorships and their fans and the whole thing. This is what college is all about, college sports. So in the last 48 hours, we have been told 3 different times, look, if it comes down to it, the Southern Hockey Conference started in North Carolina, they would be okay with that vision as well. If that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. So, again, it's even that little slightest advantage that the Big Ten, support of the Big Ten internally at North Carolina, Chapel Hill, that has seemed to have dissipated some, right? So we want to put that out there. I think, I truly believe, even though this is a college football YouTube channel, we're going to keep you updated. I truly believe there's going to be some public article written about how in Arkansas, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, and potentially North Carolina State's in this, and a potentially private Wake Forest, there may be, I'm not saying a big group announcement, we're not that far down the road, but I think there's going to be some sort of announcement from one of those universities here in the next few months about, okay, we're going to be looking at building a 2,500, 3,000 arena. We're going to be looking at gaining a Division I varsity, Division I NCAA hockey program by 2028, 2029, 2030. And North Carolina is going to be a part of that. Now, mind you, everybody, and I know a lot of people in the chat don't follow hockey, and that's fine. But Arizona State thought they were going to be the hub of a new Southwest Pac-12 hockey conference. A couple Pac-12 schools and maybe a couple smaller schools, but that did not materialize. But it sounds like North Carolina, there's been some communication, again, with SEC schools and a couple ACC schools. We'll see what happens. Virginia might be a part of that as well. I keep forgetting that. Virginia, Wake Forest, North Carolina State, North Carolina, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, Arkansas. Those are your potential schools to create a Southern Conference. It's going to be a long road. Not all of them are going to make it. We'll see what happens. But I just wanted to put that out there. Okay. It's not about taking hockey seriously. It's about being able to establish scholarships for your men's and women hockey. The SEC right now, the SEC doesn't sponsor as many sports as like the Big Ten. Not even as much as a lot of the ACC schools. And hockey's growing in the South. They want to create more opportunity. It might happen. And North Carolina would be the spearhead in getting this going. It's a possibility. We had to put it out there. Now, Clemson. Okay. Look, and after we get done with Clemson, we're going to get to your comments. We're going to open up the phone lines. Again, I apologize. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. But we're going to get through it because look, let me take a drink of water here first. It's about building relationships. It's about creating it's about creating like sponsorships. There's a whole lot that go to it. Again, people are going to have to put up the money. The money perch, the boosters, the mega boosters, they're the ones that are going to have to build the program, and then get to where the program can be self-sufficient. But there's interest. There's growing interest. Okay. Clemson. The title of the show was We're not pushing Clemson off the stage. We're not, not moving Clemson off the center of the stage. We're not doing it. We can't do it. We're not doing it. Not until we are told to do it. We're not doing it. I know no one else is talking about it. There are other people talking about it, thinking about it, but not out in public. But we're talking about it here, peek around the corner. Graham Neff did not say anything. Clemson hasn't said anything. We thought maybe they would. We were trying to, figure out what they were going to say in front of the mic, Gator Bowl and all that. But they're going to make some declaration. We have been told it again. Remember a couple of months ago we said, now a year ago we said first quarter of 2024 for Florida State. They declared December 22nd. We were 9 days off on our reporting of a year ago. A couple months ago, we were told between January 20th and February 6th. We were told yesterday that nothing has changed at Clemson. They're still going to do this thing. They're still going to do this thing. And every day, well, especially yesterday and today, I keep expecting to somebody send me a DM, somebody send me a tweet, post, how I read something where Clemson is about to say something. We are being told that Clemson has not changed at all their script. They haven't ripped up their script. They haven't flipped the script. They are doing what they were planning on doing. Florida State did the same thing, but they sped it up a little bit. They sped up their schedule just a little bit. The information we got on Florida State on December 26, 2022, and all the way leading up to when they finally declared something December 22nd. It's the same fountain of information that we're getting it from Clemson. So that's why we keep reporting it to you. There is lots of reasons to believe that Clemson's going to make a statement. And it's going to be much like Florida State. Don't know if it's going to be the same. But it's been reported in public. We have been told in private. We reported to you all. Clemson has worked with Florida State. Clemson knew. We didn't know it at the time, but right afterwards we were told. And it's been reported in public. Clemson knew what Florida State was going to say, like what their attack was going to be on the ACC. They had worked. Clemson had the same information. They had the same argument. Clemson has done 10 months of work on this. And according to what we've been told, they have received enough positive feedback in regards to if they take the leap that there would be a home. SEC, Big Ten. So we don't think anything has changed. Clemson has done so much work on this, and it's going to be apparent when they finally do talk. And also, this is what was really like punched into our brain yesterday, was like, and we talked about the strength in numbers. Clemson and Florida State, while doing this, knowing each other's arguments, talking back and forth about certain information that they found in the vault in the ACC in Charlotte, but yet still doing it differently, different timelines. They both have different interests, both have different internal politics through all this. Clemson is they're as determined as Florida State is to get out of the ACC. They're doing a little bit differently, maybe a little bit more quietly, but Clemson also perceives the strength in numbers argument. That was punched into our head yesterday. Can't give a name. But the strength in numbers, somebody else going in on this, is going to help the negotiations of Florida State. By the time Clemson talks, maybe we'll have a date with the Florida State. Maybe we'll have a date where that is set up, the court case in Tallahassee. At least that part of it. But we're not going to move. I've been asked, I could show you I'm not going to do it, but I can show you all the posts that says Clemson, son of the stage, Greg, are you going to take them off yet? We can't. We won't. There's something going on there, ladies and gentlemen. There's something going on in Clemson. It's going to be much like what Florida State did. They haven't said a word. I think they're going to be speaking pretty soon. Again, a couple months ago, we said between January 20th and February 6th. Could we be 9 days off on that as well? Sure. But somewhere, we know they have a quarterly meeting in the first week of February, and it won't happen then. So it's going to have to happen a couple of days before, after that, or before that. We'll probably before that. Probably in late January. Or, like I say, maybe we'll be 9 days off again. But Clemson is not... They are committed to this. And they are aligned. And maybe the one thing that people would really disagree with PATC is, I know a lot of people think that Clemson might not have a home in the Big Ten of the SEC. Clemson's perception is they would have a home. So they're at the center of the stage with Florida State. Florida State was the first one out of the gate. We believe Clemson is the second one. What we wanted to reconfirm that to you all January 3rd. And keep your head on a swivel when it comes to all things Clemson right now. I know we're keeping an eye on the date of the court case in Tallahassee. All eyes on Clemson. If Florida State would not have sped up they were going to do it in the first quarter of 2024, and we were saying that for a whole year. And now there was Florida State Iowa scuffle, however he pronounced his name. He admitted that just last week out on his Twitter account. He said the plan was early in 2024 for Florida State to do it. We knew it. We were able to talk about it. Much like Clemson. Clemson is the same deal. They have a plan. They haven't sped up their plan yet. And boy, I wish I could. I better not go there. So I'm going to get to your comments. Talk about anything in college football. Michigan versus Washington. Lions 4.5. I'm going to be giving you my prediction right before kickoff when we're doing a watch party. Greg the Heater, we're 2-0 against the spread this year. So we're feeling pretty good about that after winning about 42% of our games last year against the spread. Greg the Cooler going to Greg the Heater. So we'll see what happens. 4.5 point spread. We might take the over-under. It's 55.5. I got a feeling that there might be a play there, the over-under. Maria's in the house. She knows. I don't go to bed early. What are you talking about? Okay. The wife is on me. She knows I'm sick, so she's keeping an eye on me. Ryan Willie, I'm just a fan, but I think the ACC will implode within the next 3 weeks. Especially if Florida State ACC settle. I don't see how Southern Hockey Conference can compete with the Northern Conference. It wouldn't be about competing. It's not about competing for a national title or anything. It's about the creation of a Southern Hockey Conference, regionality, small travel, SEC network, or wherever they put it, and providing more opportunities for the student athletes. It wouldn't be about competing, at least at first. Who knows? But no. Again, a number of schools. We'll go through them again real quick here. A number of schools are looking at the potentiality once they get. There's a lot of change in college athletics. There's a lot of money that's going to be spent on these court cases. But 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the line, the Southern Conference, Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Georgia, North Carolina State, North Carolina, potentially Wake Forest, potentially Virginia. There's schools that are out there who are at least talking about this. The boosters are talking about this. Building a small arena, putting in $80 million, getting scholarships, getting on board of programs in the South. And North Carolina would be the hub of that. Potentially. People are talking. There's a long road to go on that, but we had to bring it up. And that's why the hockey state skates are now out of the Holy Smokes Theater. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Don't think Florida State and ACC is going to be settling anytime soon. John Teal, if the ACC folds in the first quarter, where does everyone go? I don't think the ACC is folding in the first quarter. Can Stan, Cal, SMU talk anyone into coming with them? Oregon State, Washington State. Thank you for the super chat, John. Appreciate it. The ACC is not folding in the first quarter. They're not folding anytime soon. Let's put it that way. Stanford, California, and SMU, though, they've got, if the ACC implodes, the ESPN can rightfully, supposedly, according to Florida State's lawsuit, ESPN can decline to have a media contract with the ACC beginning in 2027. That will collapse the conference. No question about it. Don't think it's happening in the first quarter. What's happening in the first quarter 2024 that we're now in is another, we believe, declaration by another ACC school, and we think it's Clemson. Or we've been told it's Clemson. We've been told that for a while. Thanks for the super chat, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for helping us keep our lights on here at Peek Around the Corner. I'm going to open up the phone lines here. Let you guys talk anything you want in college hockey. I'm going to try to save my voice. We'll go as long as we possibly can. Daniel Montecastle's in the house.
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas, the floor is yours. What's going on, good sir?
I'm just waiting for you to cut me off with news, but hold on.
Yeah. I'll try.
I hope you're feeling better, Greg.
Yeah.
I will say, I told you earlier, one of my friends, she works for the city of Pasadena, so I was a guest at the Rose Bowl on Monday, and that was a great game, great experience, great game. Yeah. I can't in good conscience cheer for Michigan, but I'm not sad Alabama lost. So, but one of the great things about that whole experience, Greg, is Reese Davis went to Alabama, and seeing him have to present the trophy to Michigan was kind of funny.
Wow.
So, I mean, that was that. I mean, a great experience, a beautiful day. It was a great setting. So, just to point out to folks, there is no way that Duke is going to the Big 12, folks. It's not happening. They don't have the votes. BYU, Baylor, Texas Tech, Kansas State will not support it. So, and plus they're likely to do something with the Ivies, likely, later on. As far as the college football playoff, Greg, you know what? I got a feeling it's going to be the Huskies, man. It's going to be the Huskies. Looking at the game on Monday, Alabama was able to exploit the edges in the perimeter on Michigan's defense, and I got a lot of yardage off of that, but unfortunately it was because of some bad snaps and penalties. They shot themselves in the foot every time they got downfield. And I think that Washington's got a more experienced quarterback and receivers that they're going to find a way to score, and they're going to score. And I think Washington's defense is misaligned. I think that they're badly misjudged, because looking at that Pac-12 championship game against Oregon, those defensive backs are pretty fast, Greg. And I think the Huskies are going to win.
Okay.
I'm calling it right there, and you can sing down. You can sing a bow down to Washington for Rebecca. And Rebecca, I don't know if you're listening today. I know you're busy, but this is if the Huskies do win next Monday, then Greg needs to rest his voice so he can sing your fight song on Tuesday.
All right. I sang that song for the third time on this show at the end of the Washington-Texas game.
Well, you got to get ready for a fourth time, Greg.
I do it worse. I do it worse every single time I sing it. So.
Well, you got to practice, Greg. Practice.
Well, I get worse when I practice. That's the point. It only gets worse from here. So, if Washington wins again, I'll sing the song. Everyone's going to have to hit the mute button. That's just the way it is.
Well, one tip for you, Greg. Minnesota's playing at UCLA next year, right?
Minnesota does, yes.
So if you go to the game, because parking at the Rose Bowl is a nightmare, it's the most awful experience in the world. It is a disaster. Greg, I suggest that you bring your Gophers and have them dig golf holes underneath those golf courses for you guys to get your car out and get out to escape traffic. So that's all. That's the advice I will give you.
If myself and Maria go to Los Angeles next year to watch Minnesota versus UCLA, we'll be going into some hotel, and I will not be having a car. I do not like to drive. I don't. We'll just get around however people get around, like taxi or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I recommend trying to. I'd recommend trying to get a hotel somewhere in Pasadena and booking that as soon as possible if you do go. Yeah, I mean, I would try to book that because they get pricey towards the end because the cost for the hotel, up before the game was somewhere around like $2,000 a room. It was all, I stayed at the airport and just dealt with the traffic. But anyway, I won't take up anybody's time, but those are my picks, Greg, and have a great day and get that voice better. Okay, buddy?
You got it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Great call. Great call, Ryan Brooks. Appreciate it. Ryan Thomas, I'm sorry. Ryan Thomas, thank you, sir. Ryan Thomas has got Washington. He is picking Washington. I'm looking at that over-under line. I think I see something there. So, we'll see. The over-under line, just to post it once again, 55.5. 55.5. And I'm starting to like one side of that. So, we shall see. The little general has made it into the studio.
Can people ask for that?
And what am I drinking here? Oh, that's hot. Ooh,
Ginger and cinnamon with my sugar because I don't have honey, okay?
Got it.
Thank
cinnamon,
you guys.
cinnamon, ginger.
And my bestie sugar.
Ouch. Ow. Okay. Okay. Now that I burned my hand off. John Teal, so if Washington win, will everyone be happy? Michigan cheated. Bama's in bed with ESPN. That's fair. You owe a corn dog for Minnesota versus UCLA. Thank you again for the super chat, John. I think a lot of people, probably most people in the country, are going to be rooting for Washington, I would assume, right? Right? And I don't think the Michigan fans care. I don't think they care one bit. Greg likes the under. That's what B. Bean said. Okay, phone lines are back open, 763-260-1333. Ryan Thomas, he came out and he's got Washington. I saw what J.J. McCarthy said. Basically, and I'm paraphrasing it, he said everybody cheat, or 80% of the teams cheat. We were behind Ohio State. We had to keep up. Again, everybody still signs. Yes. But not everybody does in-person scouting. J.J. McCarthy left that out. He's sticking up for his team, so I'm not gonna hit on him hard. But not everybody's out there doing in-person scouting. But I said at the time, Michigan is a great team. They would have not have lost any of their games if they were not scouting. And I picked them to win it at the start of the playoffs. So I can be both. You shouldn't have been in-person scouting, and Michigan, best team in the country. We'll see what happens. Hero75, thank you for your super chat. In all this realignment, I wouldn't count out Stanford and California, the Big Ten, when the ACC falls. Because I could see Notre Dame offering to join the Big Ten and fold if they take those schools as well. Well, that's an interesting comment. Very interesting comment. Oh, that does feel good. I would agree to half of that. I wouldn't count out Stanford. California, we at Peek Around the Corner never counted in. We could never ever get anybody to tell us that California was in play. It was reported on that they were in play, that they were a possible target for the Big Ten. A candidate, not a target, a candidate for the Big Ten. We never had California there. So, but when the Los Angeles Times interviewed me 4 different times to write an article in the Los Angeles Times about us breaking the news about USC. In that article, I said, and I've taken the L on it. In that article, I said, look, we believe that Notre Dame would come into the Big Ten and grease the skids for Stanford. That Stanford would come in with Notre Dame. And it did not happen. It could have happened at some point. It's a possibility. Big Ten's not expanding, though. I mean, Big Ten is not done expanding. Big Ten is not done expanding.
Call from
JD.
JD, the floor is yours. How you doing, sir?
How you doing, sir? I know you sound like you're
not feeling
too
great,
well.
but I'm hanging in there.
Well, I'm in the same boat as you. So something hit me last night, and it's I guess it's my turn. Everybody else is getting sick. I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
But hope you're getting feeling better.
Yeah, thanks.
As far as the Clemson information goes, I just goes back to maybe some of our previous conversations. Clemson's best gamble is availability. They feel like they can they could become available quicker than these other schools, and I would assume if I were them, you're confident about your value, and one of those other conferences isn't going to be able to resist.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not. And I think that's exactly where the Clemson smoke comes from. I guess they know they could go to the Big 12 if they had to, or just stay in the ACC. Mm-hmm. But part of me, and you could tell me if I'm totally wrong on this, if some of these ACC schools all of a sudden become available, would Fox gamble on themselves and add more than just 2 in the short term?
Yes, they could. The favorite is 2, but they could go more than 2. Like the article that we just read earlier today, Fox is all in on college football, college athletics. So, I mean, that's what they're doing. They own 61% of the Big Ten network. They want the Big Ten to be as big as valuable as possible. They're making huge bucks on Big New and Fox. Their ratings have skyrocketed. Fox is in a golden era when it comes to their coverage of college sports. So yeah, they're pressing the envelope here. But before I get you have you back on the floor here, JD, getting back to Clemson being available. Look, let's just pretend something here, JD. You, me, and the 200 people that are in the chat, 242 people watching. Clemson, let's just pretend that they actually do what we believe they're going to do. That they're going to declare in somewhat of the same manner that Florida State. We're not exactly, I don't want to get everybody confused. I don't want to get too deep into it, but let's say they do some declaration, and let's say they're another entity that ACC has to contend with, and somehow that helps out Florida State. Let's say there's a number there. Let's say there's a number. Let's just say $300 million. I might be $200 million off either way. Okay, let's just pretend though $300 million. whatever number you want that to be. We'll say $300 million. Clemson might look at that and say $300 million to get out. Okay, now we get more official talk. Now we really sit down with the SEC and the Big Ten. It's not just third-party talks. It's not just third-party talks getting valuation from potential media partners. Now we really can sit down. Oh, SEC doesn't. No, they're not quite sure about us. Big Ten don't think they can swing the vote. Okay, we're going to pull back. We're not going to do this $300 million, right? Just because you get a settle, just because you get the number, you don't write the check and then be told no by the SEC and the Big Ten. You get told yes before you write the check. You know what I'm saying? So yes, Clemson's only risking, if they do what Florida State did here, they're just risking the cost of whatever it takes to try to get a settlement from the ACC, and the cost of that, the risk of that is so far less than the risk of doing nothing. That is why we think Clemson is going to do, even if it doesn't work out for them, we think they're going to follow the footsteps of Florida State here shortly.
The way they phrase their announcement will tell you a lot of things. FSU went for, the way that it was presented in public, you'll never have a working relationship, in the ACC again. I mean, it was that may have not been a formal announcement of exiting, but it was crystal clear to everyone involved. And you threw some people under the bus, and I'll be honest with you, they deserved it because of things that have happened in the past.
Great point.
But
great point.
But I just don't know now if they can retroactive that date. If there's some things circulating in the FSU circles, and I'm not going to go too much into it because actually Jen and Chris Frazier on their YouTube show last night were talking about it. But apparently there's talk now between the ACC and FSU, and that FSU was willing to go to court. And I'm going to stop there because the rest of this is their information, and hopefully she calls in. I didn't get this from any other source but them. But I know Chris in the past from Spear Addicts gets a lot of inside information, and apparently people are reaching out to Jen. So that's their baby, and I'm going to stop with that.
Got it.
But it's that, and I'm sorry, I'm foggy-headed. I just lost my train of thought.
But let me. You made a great point. I mean, if Clemson makes their declaration similar to Florida State, it might not be in the same. It probably won't be in the exact same manner. They might not throw those grenades at the ACC, right? They might just state their case, bam, 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 make it pretty button up. Or they might, I don't know. But again, they might do it differently than Florida State because maybe they feel like they still need the ACC to possibly be there for them at the end of it. I don't think they believe that though. But Florida State, like you said, JD, they made it really, really clear they're not going back to the ACC when this is all said and done.
No, and they're ready to just leave at whatever the cost. I mean, that was the point of having the private equity in place. I mean, that was one of the reasons they waited so long, is all that needed to be established before they made a move. And I was told that a long time ago. But once it all was in place, and then again, I don't know if their announcement would have been the same without the playoff snub. But obviously, the way it was presented, they're pissed. They're pissed, and to be honest with you, I am too. But they're still handling it professionally. But you know what I mean. But if I were Fox, and again, we go back into this conversation about Miami, and we understand why Miami would be the one that Fox might initially look at. But it's just, if you look at big picture, and we're also talking about states and markets and things like that. The thing about Clemson that people forget, and I know cable carriage fees and a lot of that stuff applies in the way that networks can make money, but if you're talking about just market size and advertising, Clemson is right there between Charlotte and between Atlanta. You're almost kind of getting the outer edges of those markets as far as coverage anyway. So you're not just saying, oh, well, South Carolina doesn't have the population. Well, how many Clemson alums live in Atlanta or in Charlotte or whatever? We're talking about viewership. So that's my question as far as what's more important. Yes, Miami might be a huge market, but how many of those people are really paying attention to Miami unless it's a big game anyway? Mm-hmm. Yes, you'd say Big Ten alums. Well, Big Ten alums are already watching Big Ten games. Are Big Ten alums going to watch Miami games with empty stadiums and mediocre teams? I mean, yes, maybe Miami gets it going. I mean, we know Cristobal ain't the guy. He has players leaving quicker than he can bring them in. I mean, the transfer portal for them is just staggering, the amount of people that are leaving. But again, I'm just being a little bit of an FSU homer there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I know we talk about market size and whatever. And again, I'm not cheerleading for Clemson, but if Fox wants to get into the Southeast, and if the FSU big thing is a done deal, which a lot of people think it is, like you said, heavy chalk. I'm not quoting you.
We don't think it's a done deal. We think
yeah. Well, I'm not. Yeah, I wasn't quoting you as that it's a done deal.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of people think it's a done deal. Man, if you really want to get into the Southeast, you pick up FSU, Clemson, and be willing to expand to another team or two. You've just made a huge statement, and you just attracted a lot of viewers in the southeastern part of the country. Mm-hmm. And you just added anywhere between 6 and 7 million additional viewers on Saturday, just by adding those couple of teams. And we're talking about regular games. We're not talking about games against directional schools or anything like that. But then you add a couple of more, you just added a lot. Yeah. And then you get into that's the biggest trick for Fox to become as relevant in college sports as ESPN. Get a foothold in the Southeast. You got great viewership all over the country, and all the rest of that. You do, but slowly but surely, it just keeps filtering more and more and more, predominantly to the South. Especially most of your great athletes, are below the Mason-Dixon line. As far as kids that are playing college sports they'll play football and so on. People play all throughout the country, but it's mostly in southern states now. Your preeminent athletes. But anyway, I just think I think Fox. Well, I'm not that I'm sitting here going to bat for Clemson. I just think in the end of the day, Clemson's going to have a seat on the bus before right after FSU, and then at that point, you may have Miami and some of the other ones. But anyway, I just thought I'd chime in.
You got it. Appreciate it, JD. Thanks for the phone call. Call again, Mr. Seminole.
All right. Have a great day. Hope you get to feeling better.
Yeah, you bet. Great call from JD. Gives us a lot of great information, great perspective. Ryan Thomas, after careful deliberation, super chat. Thank you, Ryan. The college football playoffs will slot Bama in the championship game. It's 2 quality losses. Make a strong case according to ESPN Talking Heads. Thank you, Mr. Ryan Thomas, for your generosity once again to our channel. Thank you so very much. You guys are killing me. I'm sick, and you guys are still killing me. The Big 12 Mafia early peak member. Hi, everyone. He has sauntered in to the chat room. Phone call.
Call from
Rebecca, go Huskies.
Oh my goodness. The legend, the myth or the legend or both, Rebecca is in the house. Congratulations, Rebecca. Congratulations. Fantastic championship game. You must be absolutely thrilled.
I am, and my voice is like paying for it.
I bet. Tell me your feelings, your emotions, what's going on in your head, what's going on in your heart, what's going on in your soul. Becky, the floor is yours.
Oh, I haven't felt like this since the Seahawks made the Super Bowl back in 2013.
Yeah.
Oh, like it is different. It is.
Yes.
I can't begin to describe this feeling. Like it's so.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I'm like, all my friends were like, I'm going to Las Vegas next week, so I was like, oh, I can't go to Houston.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, man, everybody's planning like their flights and stuff, and I was like, oh, I want to go so bad. I was like, I've never wanted to book a last-minute flight in my life.
Well, that
Here
is
we
still a
are.
good spot to be, though, Vegas, for the game.
It's not bad. I was like, man, I was like, can I just like switch that? And it was just going to be way too expensive.
Yeah.
So plus I have to be there on Tuesday for work. So
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
well, we're not doing that.
Michael Penix Jr., man, he was perfection in that game. Unbelievable. In the pocket, quick footwork, gets out of trouble, throws a bean, throws a perfect pass over and over and over again. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, I said this last night on Mafia, but I have never seen better quarterback play ever in college football. It was insane how good he was.
Yeah, it was insane.
And I'm like, the Heisman doesn't matter or anything like that, but I'm like, I mean, he just whips the ball out of his hands so quick, and he gets out of pressure so quick.
Yeah.
Like the O-line everybody was saying, well, Texas has this great D-line, and they do.
Yeah.
They're the best player in the nation, but
Yeah.
we have the best O-line in the nation, and I think they kind of proved it. Running on them is not easy, but
Yeah.
Sweat is a 370-pound man.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And Dylan Johnson's all nicked up, and he's not running. He's probably at 60%. So I don't think Washington's going to be able to run the ball much on Michigan.
No, I think the running of the ball at this point is just essentially to keep Michigan honest.
Yeah.
We're gonna watch. We're gonna go out there with 3 wide, 4 wide most of the time.
Yeah.
And probably load up like the tight ends will come in and help block, or maybe they bring in an extra lineman if they decide to do anything. But yeah, Dylan Johnson is expected to play though, according to Coach DeBoer today. So it'll be a go.
Yeah, I heard he's playing.
Nobody doubting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing. Thankfully.
Yeah.
He just re-aggravated whatever his foot injury is. But they said no. Grubb said yesterday on the radio, no broken bone.
That's good.
So
Very good.
who knows what kind of injury it is?
Yeah.
But he's had it all year.
Yeah.
But no, it's gonna be a battle. I mean, it's 2 contrasting styles.
Yes. Yeah.
And I said it in the chat. I was like, how long does Michigan decide to run the ball before they realize they can't stop the pass? Because, I mean, we're probably not going to score in 90 seconds like we were on Texas.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a 10-play drive at one point. We were in our 10th play and not even in 3 minutes in to the drive. So it's like, some point, like, you got to keep up. And I think Texas actually had the ball longer than we did at one point too. So, like, it's just a matter of can they have really good corners. Michigan does. Michigan has really good corners, very good safety play. But when we go, like I said, when we go 4 wide, cover. And Alabama played, they played zone against Alabama. They can't. You play zone against Washington, you'll get eaten alive. So they're gonna have to mix it. I fully expect blitz gonna be there. I think they're gonna blitz like crazy.
I think they are too, and they are a blitz crazy defense. That's why I was so impressed that they held off and not do that against Alabama, which was the correct move. We talked about it pregame in our watch party. Don't go blitzing, and they didn't. But against Washington, I think they're going to blitz like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Penix isn't as mobile as the last time he played them back in 2020. But I think this game really comes down to whoever, Washington may not turn the ball over a whole lot. But Michigan is the least penalized team. Washington is the most penalized team.
Okay.
Like, we get a lot of penalties.
Yeah.
It really just, I think it's going to come down to turnovers. It's going to be, if Michigan forces interceptions, it'll put Washington at a disadvantage, but they've got to get Penix off his spot, and then they have to cover. So if he throws like he did the other day, they're not intercepting anything. I mean, Texas had great coverage. I don't know if people paid attention to that. Texas was in good coverage on a number of throws, like a number of them, and he just put it right there where only the offensive player could get it.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable performance. It was just, I was screaming the whole night. Almost every throw. I was screaming. Oh. I was waving my arms saying, forget about it, forget about it, forget about it. Every time he made an incredible play. I said, this is ridiculous. This is not fair. Forget about it.
I mean, if you want to blow your mind, there's the video on Twitter. Somebody reversed the film. So he looks like he's throwing right-handed. If you want to blow your mind, watch him throw right-handed. It is it is something. I was like, because, left-handed looks weird. Not saying that left-handed people are weird, but sometimes like the quarterback throws just looks weird. But Penix throwing right-handed it just, like, immediately you go, okay, yeah, I see it now. I see what everybody's been talking about.
Yeah.
But I think if nobody's watched us play, you just saw every UW game for the last, year. So that's how they've all gone. We've all aged horribly. We might have ulcers and other issues from age, rapid aging.
We just got a report from Heather Dinich. Kalen DeBoer, I got it up on the screen, said he wants to keep Washington's footprint in the West Coast, but he expects a pretty smooth transition into the Big Ten. Lots of familiarity through the coaching with the league. So,
yeah, I mean, he was before Indiana and well, he was at Indiana. Yep. He was at Eastern Michigan. He was at Sioux Falls. So he's got Midwest.
Yes,
and he's from Iowa. So or South Dakota, something like that. So he's going to be fine, and I think that was anticipated going into it. If you looked at our last recruiting classes, I mean, we've gotten kids out of
North Dakota.
We've gotten kids out of Michigan, South Dakota. By the way, Durfee is able to play. Pointing that out.
Yeah.
The kid from South Dakota.
Yes.
He played at Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
He is now eligible, so he's playing
yeah.
in the rotation with Trice and ZTF. But yeah, it's going to really come down to our interior defenders. People will say, well, you guys don't have a lot of size on the line. We don't. Our D tackles are like 300 pounds, 310. They're not the biggest guys. Our DNs, Trice is 270, ZTF is 255 or something like that. But Braylon Trice does not get he doesn't get a ton of sacks, but he leads the nation in pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So just little things to keep in mind, anybody who's not watched us. But man, I am in like, this must be what heaven is.
Yeah.
Like I can only imagine. So
yeah, I can only imagine
said,
too. Trust me, I can only imagine.
But what DeBoer said, I think that's what they've been aiming for, was just a smooth transition.
Yeah.
And recruiting. People will make things like our recruiting class isn't big. It was only 15 players as of right now. So, they know what they're doing. They know who they're looking for.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I think we have Rogers, the former Mississippi State quarterback, coming in. So,
Yep.
Morris is still there on the roster, but he's in the transfer portal. So he's actually the backup. And then our other quarterback is Mac, but he just turned 17 like a few months ago.
Wow.
So,
okay.
yeah, he reclassified last year so he can play this year.
Yeah.
But no, it's going to be a fun Monday.
Yep. All righty, Becky. Call us again before. Now, when are you leaving to Las Vegas?
I actually leave on Tuesday.
Oh, okay. All right.
I will be around if I don't leave till like late Tuesday. So
got it.
It won't be
Okay.
too bad. It's just I had to do it for work.
Got it.
So I have a conference down there next week. But yeah.
Okay, Becky. Appreciate the phone call. I want to hear from you again before the big game. It's the what do they call it? The kind of like the calm before the storm. Even though you're not very calm right now, but this is the calmest you're going to be until the game begins.
Oh.
So
No, I mean, it's the calm, but I haven't been this nervous in forever for this many days. I mean, I was just nervous on Monday.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to do after 7 days. We'll probably be puking.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Becky.
Anyway, you're welcome, Greg. All right. Bye, everybody.
Got it. Whoops. Wrong soundboard there. Okay.
Call from
Anthony Manzano from Florida.
Anthony? Is it Anthony?
Yes.
Anthony from Florida, thanks for calling. The floor is yours, sir.
Hi, Greg. I have a question for you, actually. Who do you think, was Brian Kelly firing basically his whole staff, like defensive staff specifically, like the coaching staff for the defense?
Yeah.
Who do you think? Do you think he might bring in someone from the NFL, or do you think he stays in college? Like, does he bring a position coach from the NFL to be his defensive coordinator, or do you think he brings a defensive coordinator from college who has experience with recruiting and stuff like that?
I would bet that he would take a college coach. I know Miami of Florida fan base and everybody's getting nervous that Guidry might get picked off, the defensive coordinator from Miami, Florida, Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, I'm nervous too.
Okay.
Because he's a local guy. He has a ton of respect from all the high schools there in Louisiana, and because he what is it called? He was a high school coach there. I think he was a defensive coordinator or head coach at Louisiana Monroe. I can't remember what position he was before Miami hired him as their defensive coordinator and stuff like that. And that's what I'm worried about because of his connections in Louisiana and stuff like that. He might get picked off. And Taylor or Joe Salavea don't have have experience calling plays for our defense,
Yeah.
defense and stuff like that. So if we lose him, we don't have someone unless we promote the. I can't remember if our defensive Joseph Adai was a co-defensive coordinator at Georgia and stuff like that, or if he has any experience calling plays and stuff like that. That's what scares me. If we lose, we don't have anybody on our staff, or I don't know if any of our analysts have experience being a defensive coordinator at another stop and stuff like that. That's what scares me on the defense.
I mean, if Miami loses Guidry, they're going to bring somebody else in. We are in a coaching coordinator carousel right now. The head coaching carousel has basically stopped spinning, but we are still in a coordinator carousel. Those jobs are still spinning around. So if Miami loses their Guidry to LSU, and you know what, LSU is going to be able to offer more money for Guidry. LSU is going to be able to offer a lot of money. So if they lose Guidry, Miami will bring in somebody, and the carousel will keep spinning.
Wait, earlier, did you say only Notre Dame only joined the Big Ten for hockey, or did they join for other sports too?
Hockey.
Oh, okay, just hockey. Okay.
Yeah, that happened years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, if you're that to me that makes no sense. If you have a sport already in that conference, why not just move all your sports to that conference? Like,
because they want to keep their football independence.
Yeah, I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I'm getting pissed about that. Like, I know you want to be special, but you're going to lose out on the college football playoff if it's moving the way it is, where it's going to be between the SEC and Big Ten and stuff like that. So you're going to have to move to a conference. And with the ACC imploding, apparently, within the next few years with Florida State's lawsuit and stuff, so that's what scares me. Like, I'm a both Hurricanes and Notre Dame fan. We're going to be – both my teams are probably getting left out because apparently the Big Ten doesn't want us. Neither does the SEC and stuff like that because of Florida, apparently. And would you say a good backup plan would be the Big 12? Would that be a good?
Are you talking about Miami?
Yeah, Miami.
Yeah, I don't. There's no doors. Well, the Big Ten door isn't shut on Miami. No way, no how.
Because I keep on hearing from like Big Ten reporters saying that the Big Ten only wants Florida State and North Carolina. They don't want Miami.
Well, they're higher targets than Miami. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
If North Carolina and Florida State are both available for the Big Ten, they would be taken before Miami, in my strongly, strongly held opinion. Yes.
And of course, like I said before, the SEC doesn't, because of Florida and the other schools not wanting recruiting competition, because if Miami goes in, they basically I don't think that can happen anymore like we saw in the 80s where Miami just shut down the whole state or shut down Miami specifically for other schools not to go in there. Can that actually happen or no?
I'm sorry, what was that? I'm having a hard time hearing you on your phone.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Hear me now?
What
I was saying is, can you know the state of Miami mentality that they had in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, where they basically shut the whole state or specifically Miami down from other schools going in there? Can that work if Miami's successful, or because of internet and stuff, that's going to be hard to do?
Yeah, I think that would be impossible to do.
Okay.
I appreciate the phone call.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you. Great call. Thank you very much. I want to get you some super chats, some comments here. Helmer Henderson, did you ever respond to Desmond Howard's reporting former Ohio State players in the NFL freely talking of money they received pre-NIL while at Ohio State cheats? I'm sure there were Buckeye players who got money, before NIL. I'm pretty positive about it. I didn't see Desmond Howard talking about it, but I'm sure some did. Probably most, if not all, the big major blue blood programs had guys walking around with bags of cash, sending it out. Thank you for the super chat, Helmer. I did not respond to Desmond Howard's reporting that because I did not know that he reported it. Appreciate it though. Appreciate you letting me know. But I would probably agree with them. Ryan Willie, the real UW, go Bucky in 2025.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate, can you hold on 1 second?
Of course.
I just want to make sure I've done a poor job. I'm a little out of it today. John Teal, Florida State goes back to ACC, ESPN, there's Sucker. Thank you, John. Thank you, Ryan, for your super chat. Thank you, Mr. Henderson, Ryan Thomas, Hero75. Thanks, everybody, for all your support. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Please smash that like button. Appreciate it so very much. Immaculate, you made a comment here.
What you got? Which one?
In the chat about somebody on X.
Yeah.
Maybe
I don't know
connected
who
to
this person
Clemson.
is.
What is that all about?
Someone that seemed to draw attention from a bunch of others said that Clemson has moved forward their timeline. I don't know who they are. I don't know if it means anything, but
Did you pass? Did you pass it on to my DM or?
Yeah.
You did. Okay.
On that. I don't know who they are. Someone else told me that he's very well liked and would have access to the information. I don't know if that's true or not, but they're basically saying Clemson's moving forward their timeline.
Okay, I'll take a look at it. I don't recognize the person, so that doesn't mean much, but.
Well, I mean, that's why I was like, I don't know who folks are in that area. So someone else that is very into that area in both situations says he's well liked and he would have access to that information. So
okay,
I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
it was enough for me to pass it to you, but beyond that, I don't know.
Appreciate it. Yeah, there hasn't been any reporting on it, but man, we are being told that it's that they're going to do something here. So
yeah. Kind of my thing at this point is it's a lot of talk without action. Now we've seen some action. Now I would think that FSU's move is stronger if others move with them.
Yep. And that Clemson thinks that too. So
but still, Florida State chose. I mean, I believe that they're talking, and Florida State chose to go it alone. At least that's how it is right now. Clemson comes out tomorrow. I would still consider that to be going out at the same time. But for now, Florida State is going out on their own. And so I'm just kind of sitting here wondering, okay, we got a lot of talk coming around about Miami, so obviously some stuff is coming out of there.
Yeah.
A lot of talk coming out of Clemson.
Yeah.
So these are schools that are a little, I would say, worried about the situation. Or, my opinion on Miami is they're just trying to stir the situation and get more people worried. But maybe they're actually kind of worried and interested in moving too. I think that they're not as high up as people think. I mean, they have great brand recognition, no doubt. But beyond that, it's very limited. I shared, someone was posting a tweet yesterday of an image from their game with Louisville and how bad the stands were. That's my opinion on Miami, is that, and people are like, well, when they have games against Notre Dame and FSU, it fills up. Yeah, those are Notre Dame and FSU fans. Those aren't Miami fans. The Miami fans would be there throughout the games. I mean, sometimes, yes, if a good team comes in there, they'll get more people to pay attention because they don't care about Miami. They might care about who comes in to play them, and so that's where they're at, and there's some value to that because they're in Miami, and maybe you can draw them with other schools. But if you look around at that, I mean, I know it's kind of like beating a dead horse here, but like Georgia Tech and Atlanta, if they have a big team coming, I mean, Atlanta is not just Southern people. There's a lot of people that have moved down there, so it's a little different. So I would say the same benefits that you're seeing from Miami, there's others that can present that. It's just not as big as I think maybe people think, and so I think they're trying to get out ahead of this or get people pushed out. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. I mean, even we had Bob Thompson on the show, and he said Miami, right? So very much I could be wrong on it. That's just I'm having a hard time understanding where the actual value is with them. I actually think Clemson has more value than them, but I guess maybe Miami has a little bit more academic research stock to it. But either way, we'll see how that goes.
Higher, it's not just research. Oh, what is that called? The bar that is set for a student or a student athlete to go to the university,
like who they accept and
the acceptance numbers are more in line with the Big Ten, Miami than Clemson. And of course we were told.
School, though.
Well, what was that?
It's because it's a small school, though.
Yeah,
when you're saying that small, it's a little bit easier to be a little more picky.
Yeah, Clemson's also a pretty small school. It's not one of the bigger when it comes to enrollment. I could be wrong, but I think they're pretty small.
I thought it would be like double digits in the high teens or maybe in the 20s. Isn't it still it's still state sponsored. It's almost like a South Carolina State.
Yeah. Oh shoot, what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I'm not quite at 100% today. I feel I got the chills. I feel kind of just out of it. So yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead.
I was just going to say about the UW-UM matchup. Just my little tidbit on this for folks to watch. The matchup for me that I think wins and loses this game is UW's defensive line versus Michigan's offensive line. Some people might think that's opposite, because I think Michigan's defensive line is as good or better than Texas's. They're going to give Wisconsin or Washington problems there. Where it's really going to matter is if Washington can do whatever they can to try and stop that run. Because if Michigan can run at will with those two running backs, they will absolutely wear that defense out, and Washington's offense will have a harder time getting into a roll. You spend so much time sitting on the sidelines trying to lose whatever juice you had going on.
Yeah.
So to me, that's where it is. I know a lot of people don't watch a line play, and I talk about it a lot, but that's where the battle is. That's whoever wins that war is going to win the game.
Yeah.
With Penix, it's kind of sitting back going, yeah, we've been telling you guys this. I just feel like people did not truly pay attention to him during the season.
Yeah.
Maybe they saw one of the games where he was sick and he wasn't as good in it.
Yeah.
But I don't care what the stats are. I get that Daniel's stats were just insane. If you're just looking at stats, I get it. That him winning the Heisman, worthy. Mm-hmm. But to me, when I watch the two, when I watch Penix throw, where he puts the ball, I don't. It makes me not care about stats. I see that, and I'm like, that's best quarterback in the game right now. And it's, someone could say, well, it's not fair. He's like, what, 23? But he's still there. He still counts.
Yeah.
He's going to walk into an NFL team and immediately be able to play.
Yeah.
often not the case with rookies. We're seeing that more and more now, though. So I don't know why anyone would doubt that he can if some of these other guys can.
Yep.
But that's my thoughts on that. Is I kind of say win because I think he deserves that. He should have won the Heisman, but if he wins the national championship, there you go. And then just my final thing, I have to do a little personal throw out here. The Hawk campaign, the Hawkeyes campaign to get everyone to come back, had another one today.
Ooh.
Yeah, Harris, the defensive back, was able to get one more year of eligibility, and now he's coming back too. Could have gone off to the NFL.
Okay.
So one more instead of, and they just keep putting out kind of the same graphic from the Hawkeyes media team. So it's really starting to feel like they've got this whole campaign planned out to release these. So, you know,
All right.
it's not a big deal to everyone, but it is kind of fun and cool to see and just go kind of opposite of the general trend these days of where guys leave.
Yeah.
That's all I got for that, man. And we'll see how that goes.
You got it.
I hope you're feeling better,
Yeah.
and we'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate the phone call back, Mr. Hot Guy. Iowa. Iowa and Minnesota start their Big Ten conference play next year, playing against each other. For Rosedale, for the Pig, Iowa at Minnesota, early in the year, I think third week in the season, something like that. Becky Go Huskies, thank you so much for your super chat. Just because Greg misses them, he picked Washington. Thank you, Becky, so much for your super chat, for your generosity. I appreciate it. I picked Washington to get to the playoffs, and I predicted Washington to beat Texas 38-35. Am I going to predict Washington to beat Michigan? What am I going to do? You're going to find out right before kickoff Monday night.
Call from
Jeff Fuller.
Jeff Fuller, thanks for coming on in again. Appreciate it, sir. The floor is yours.
Hey, great to hear you.
Yeah, nice to hear from you again, sir.
Modern marvels. I'm actually calling you from the South Island of New Zealand.
Holy
my sweet wife and I are
smokes.
here. Yeah, we're celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary and spending about 10 days here in New Zealand and just driving through the beautiful countryside now. Catching a ferry up to the North Island. Been here about 5 days and just loving it.
Wow.
Beautiful country. Highly blessed. Enjoying
Wow.
this time.
Congratulations. Congratulate you and your wife. Wow. Big time.
Thank you. Yeah, and of course, I always find time to keep up with college football and, listen to your show and do what I can to participate. Great. No semifinal games. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm a BYU fan first, but Bama fan second, and that was heartbreaking. But Bama, plenty of success to fall back on, and
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of the fan base is taking it rough, but there's been a lot of controversy about why Alabama got the spot and why Florida State didn't, and honestly, there were 7 teams probably good enough to challenge for the national championship this year. You put Florida State and Georgia and Oregon all probably in there, with good enough rosters. And the difference this year is no one was head and shoulders above the rest. Usually there's been 1 or 2 that have been
agree.
head and
Yes,
shoulders
sir.
above the rest.
Yeah.
And that's usually been Alabama or Georgia, occasionally Ohio State.
Yeah.
But the parity is interesting to see. But I feel a little bit of a need to speak up. I just keep seeing lots of whining. I guess that's probably not the right word. It doesn't come off quite right. From Florida State fans, and I know they're smarting. I know they're hurting for not getting put in. Someone was going to be left out, and I think the committee put the 4 teams in that would give them the best games, and that's how their bylaws are written. I agree that Florida State, had a good argument about most deserving, but I can't believe what they did, but they didn't even show up for the Peach Bowl. And I know they're hurting, but between the whining that they didn't get in, number one, remember the alliance on ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12 all joined forces to prevent a 12-team playoff from happening this year. So that some people brought that up that hey, that's a big factor. So hey, you can whine, but you sort of your own commissioner or own league caused this problem in the first place. And then secondly, just go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And just secondly, just not showing up for the game, and I understand the opt-outs. I know it's a different time in college football, but come on, I mean, if you're going to accept the bowl invite, you gotta put more pressure on your players to go, to show up. The talent gap was crazy. Maybe it's the difference between the starters and the backups between the two schools. Georgia had plenty of opt-outs, but not as many key ones as Florida State. But come on, I mean, that's just they just showed up to cash the check so the conference could get their check, and that, I mean, they made a mockery of that bowl, and that they have their reasons, and they're sort of pouting like little children. But come on, I mean, show up, coaches motivate your players, get out there and play. That was a travesty in my mind. And then remember Florida State, they could have joined the SEC from the get-go, but Bobby Bowden didn't want to. He said he liked being in the ACC and saw lots more wins there than competing against some of the bigger Southern programs. So a lot of people in the South don't have a lot of love for the Florida State football program, and I didn't understand that before moving here.
Okay,
several years back.
Okay,
go ahead.
Let me jump in for balance purposes.
Sure.
First of all, now everyone's probably going to yell at me when I say this, but these fan bases, they all love their teams. They all love their university. They all love their colors. They're all basically going to act the same way. In other words, if Alabama goes 13-0 and bad luck, they're down to the third-string quarterback, and they don't make the playoffs, they don't get invited, that fan base is going to go nuclear, and they're going to be calling So all these fan bases are going to act the same way as Florida State's great fan base. So this is the first time, it's the last time it's ever going to happen where an undefeated autonomy conference school goes undefeated and don't get into the playoffs. And it's the first time, the last time, an autonomy conference goes undefeated and their players think they're going to go in, and they've done everything they possibly could. They don't make it. So a lot of them who have NFL potential opted out. So we're going to have to agree to disagree on the reactions, because I think any fan base would have erupted if this would have happened to them. That's my honest opinion.
Absolutely, and I think Sankey and maybe some others just pretty much ended up putting down their foot and just said, hey, we wanted the 12-team playoff this year. This was happening, and the ACC put a stop to it. You're not gonna leave out an SEC team who you look at the computer metrics. Bama has better computer metrics than Florida State had, and I know most deserving versus who actually presents the biggest game. But hey, I just really love your show. I don't mean to stir it up too much.
No, that's okay. No, you're free. Hey, you had the floor. You spoke your mind. A lot of people agree with you, Mr. Fuller. So I appreciate your call.
They all should agree with you, right?
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Take care, Greg.
Thank you. Great call. Thank you so very much. Helmer Henderson, you got sick rooting for Michigan. I wasn't rooting for Michigan. Thank you for your super chat. Appreciate it. I predicted Michigan to win 30-20, but I wasn't rooting for anybody. I was rooting for a good game. That's what I do when I do a watch party. Was I rooting for them in the sense that I predicted them and I'm tired? I'm sick and tired of being Greg the Cooler. I'm so tired of losing 6 out of every 10 games I go against the spread. It's absolutely ridiculous. My record against the spread, you can blindfold yourself, throw a dart at a bunch of balloons, pick better than myself. So yes, was I sore? But I wasn't rooting for Michigan like as go. I'm not a Big Ten homer. Sorry, I'm not. I'm a Gopher. That's all that I am, a Golden Gopher. Irrelevant in the world of college football. I wasn't rooting for Michigan. I wasn't rooting against Michigan. I wasn't rooting for Alabama. I wasn't rooting against Alabama. I wasn't rooting for Washington. I wasn't rooting against Washington. I was not rooting for Texas. I was not rooting against Texas. That's about the best way I can put it. Thank you so much for your super chat, for your continued generosity. Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Alice in Petland. Go Gophers. There you go. Yeah, I mean, look. Here's the thing. I believe Florida State got screwed. A lot of people disagree with me. But whether you agree or disagree, I mean, this was like the first time a school did what Florida State achieved. And they didn't get to go to the playoffs. Imagine going 13-0. Imagine losing your starting quarterback. Winning a game against Louisville, winning a game by 10 points in the ACC championship, having that incredible defense. Yeah, I don't, look, the players, yeah. I mean, what were they playing for? They had already done everything, and they still didn't get an invitation. Now, we're still going to get that sense. We're still going to get that vibe. We're still going to get that drama when we go to a 12-team playoff. We're going to be arguing over the last couple at-large bids. Not like this, though, because, you know, we're going to be arguing over 11-1, 10-2, 9-3 teams, whatever. But what we're really going to be arguing, not, you know, in a smaller way because of smaller fan bases, but when they try to decide, when they vote on the playoff committee, when they vote on the top G5s, like, I should put it that way. When they vote on the rankings and you see the top conference ranked champions and the autonomy 4 conferences, let's say, goes as normal or as we expected, 2024, 1 through 4, the top 4 ranked conference champions are the autonomy schools. That 5th spot, that 5th automatic berth, that 5th top-ranked conference champion, one of the 5 G5 conference champions, there's going to be a school out there going to be going, oh, wait, nuh-uh. They're going to be absolutely furious at you know, somebody's going to get left out who absolutely believes they should be in, and it very well could be an undefeated G5 school. You know, if Tulane would have won their AAC championship game, they would have been the highest ranked conference champion. I think so. I believe that to be true. And Liberty would have been out. Now, what if that happens in 2024? So, I should say this is not going to happen again. It is going to happen again. It just won't be an undefeated autonomy conference school with a big fan base who loves their team, who is energized, who spent a lot of money, who travel, watch their team. Like the Seminole fan base, of course they're going to ignite It's never happened to anybody like this. Not like this, not like this, and it happened to them. So I tell you what, if it would have happened to my Gophers are never going 13-0. But if it would have happened to me, I'd be going crazy. I don't care if we're down to our 7th string quarterback. I'd be going nuts. So that's all I'm saying on that. Okay. Helmer Henderson, Mr. Caddyshack, thank you for your super chat. Appreciate it so very much. Greg has no strings attached. None whatsoever. Big Ten Conference don't like me. I've told the story of that before. They do not like me at all. Okay, we're going to shut this down. We've been on the air for 2 hours and 11 minutes. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to bed. I'm taking a shower. I'm going to bed. And hopefully I will be okay when there is breaking news. And we think there's going to be some breaking news, some big breaking news this January. So keep your head on a swivel. Buckle up and brace for impact. Before you leave, please subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so. Smash the like button if you liked our content. If you did not like our content today, hit the thumbs down button. Let me know in the chat room or on X. Let me know how better we can serve you to give you the college football information that you deserve. I want to thank you for the great phone calls, the great comments, and the incredible donations. Thank you for your generosity. I appreciate the PATC community. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.